Good morning. In the series of Achieving Sustainable Development Goals and Going to Moon, Mars, and Beyond, we have come to the stage of SDG 11. In two words, it is human cities. It's talking about all inclusive human purpose cities and achieving SDG. Then we'll see what are the problems created or aggravated by the pandemic, then how to go to moon, Mars, and beyond. So it talks about human cities, HUMANE, human cities. How kind of and what kind of, which kind of human cities are those? They are inclusive, it means poorest to the richest people can live. They are safe, it means cleaning is taken care, and least mosquitos and diseases are there, etc. Then they are resilient and means they are all weather proof. Then these cities are sustainable as well. It means futuristic kinds of things. If 100 years later or so, they will be thriving well. Now, as usual, we'll see the impact of pandemic on SDG 11. You can refer it on the Goal 11 on United Nations website. Almost 1.2 billion people, that is more than one eighth of the global population, lives in slums. They can't move. They couldn't move in pandemic. In fact, they couldn't stay at their own places. They couldn't earn. Their kids couldn't go out and play. Their kids couldn't study because most of them didn't have the cell phone 4G or 3G and couldn't study well. And government official made lockdown compulsory. So it was very difficult for these people, almost 1.2 billion people in the world. Okay, that is the biggest impact. 1.2 billion people. Proximity of neighbors could not keep the, you know, 1 to 2 meters distance, social distancing. That was also a very big problem. And hence, it was a hell for the slum dwellers. Okay, so hope on a humanitarian ground, this point will be taken care in future. Almost 80% of the slum dwellers live in Eastern and Southeastern Asia, 370 plus million people. And Dharavi in Mumbai is one of the biggest, in fact. And we have seen that how these people live there in horrible conditions. Now, at least, slowly the amenities are improving there. Next is Sub-Saharan Africa. 238 plus million people stay there. Next is Central and Southern Asia. 226 million people stay there. Already I had discussed about the Dharavi in Mumbai. Now, kids keep asking a lot of questions. Last time they asked me, Uncle, there are, right to education is in more than 135 plus countries. Then why not 100% literacy is there in everywhere? I couldn't answer the question. Again, this time also they have asked me this question. 156 countries have national urban policies, NUP, but most of them are on the paper and more than 50% are not serious about implementing them. So it becomes difficult for. So 156 countries have national urban policies, and 50% people are not implementing it properly. Then they ask me, Uncle, are they not serious about what they have planned? Senior leaders have planned SDG. Are they not serious about it? And if not serious, then why? I couldn't answer this. This is an open question now. Next point is We are discussing about the problems faced in pandemic. Okay, the average global share of urban area allocated to streets and open public space is 30%. But in most of the best places, it is still 16% only. Now again the kids ask, how can any city get the best city award if they are not up to this SDG mark? Kids keep asking the question and we become answerless. Next point is, only almost 50% of the global population have the convenient access to the public transport of any kind. Convenient access means what? If the bus stop is there for the public transport, it should not be more than half a kilometer, that is 500 meters. Then it is a convenient access. If the railways, the metros, the tubes, the ferry, these kinds of things are there, then they should not be more than 1 kilometer walking or such distance. It means it is very difficult for the people living in these slum dwellers. If they are living 30 kilometers away from the office centers, it becomes difficult to use the public transport, and then they will remain in poverty, extreme poverty forever, because most of 20 to 30% of their salary will be vested in these things, because frankly speaking, still transportation is not taken care by most of the companies. We have to be frank if we have to achieve SDG. Pandemic stalled many public transport projects, so this SDG 11 needs a course correction in many places. Metro, railways, the road constructions, the official buildings, they were stalled. Okay, now there are so many negative things happening, and we are discussing what are the problems. At the same time, Paris has planned to make the city 10-minute city within coming 2 decades. Hope all cities will have still better plans and actions. Okay. Now, what are the targets and indicators of SDG 11? We'll go to that. Target 11.1, ensuring safe, affordable housing for all and upgradation of slums so as to have all basic minimum facilities. Simple. So what are the indicators? Proportion of population living in the slums out of the total population in the city. Proportion of population living in the informal settlements, second one. Third one, proportion of population living in inadequate housing. And fourth one, all these put together by the all the times by the total city population. Okay, target 11.1, indicator 11.1.1. Next one, target 11.2, providing safe, affordable, accessible, and sustainable transport system for all, so that so as to leave the carbon footprint less. Improving road safety, expanding public transport, and special attention be given to needs of women, children, older people, persons with disabilities, others in any vulnerable situations. So this is target 11.2. Now what are the indicators? Indicator 11.2.1, proportion of public having convenient access to public transport, irrespective of their gender, age, persons with disabilities, they should have access. Okay. Next, target 11.3, going for sustainable urbanization with inclusive approach in all the countries. All the countries. And indicator 11.3.1 is very simple. Land consumption rate divided by, upon population growth. Next, indicator 11.3.2, proportion of number of cities having direct democratic civil society participation in urban planning and management. If local people are there, they can find out the lacunae. 24/7 they are living there. And then they can suggest this is the lacunae. Then person can come from the government, find out the solution, Together they will find out and they implement. The project becomes perfect. Now target 11.4, protection of world's cultural and natural heritage. Cultural heritage like Meenakshi temple, and natural heritage like Himalayas, Western Ghats and Eastern Ghats. What is the indicator 11.4.1? Total per capita expenditure on preservation, protection, conservation of this cultural and natural heritage. Now sources of funding could be public, it could be private, and types of heritage already we saw. Cultural means Meenakshi temple kind of thing, and natural means Himalaya, Eastern Ghats, Western Ghats. Level of government, national level, government of India; regional level, maybe government of Maharashtra; local or municipal, may if it is a Bombay, then Bombay Municipal Corporation; Nagpur Municipal Corporation, like that. Okay, next. Target 11.5, protecting the vulnerable and thus reducing the deaths and destruction due to disasters. Now, disaster, you see, at many places, disaster warning sirens have been there. So, this point is going to be useful here. And in many countries, even drills are there, earthquake drills, and so many drills are there. Indicator 11.5.1, number of deaths per 100,000 population. Second is number of missing people per 100,000 population. Third is number of people directly affected by 100,000 population. And fourth is economic losses due to disasters upon the total national GDP. Impact on the GDP, economic impact on the GDP. Indicator 11.5.2, direct economic losses upon the global GDP. So, how many countries face the national disaster? How many people face the earthquake, the volcano, the floods, the snowstorm, and all those things. So, direct economic losses may include a damage to the critical infrastructure and disruption of the basic services attributed to disasters. May it be railway, buses, and all that. And infrastructure means damage to the government buildings, offices buildings, even the your own houses and localities. Target 11.6, reducing environmental impact on the cities. You see, you know, especially it is calculated per capita. Air pollution, municipal and other waste management per capita. Indicator 11.6.1, solid waste collected and discharged upon the solid waste collected in that city. Indicator 11.6.2, annual mean level of particulate matter in the cities. Particulate matter, suspended particulate matter, parts per million, it is calculated. We call it is in engineering like that. In scientific language, parts per million, just straight. Target 11.7, providing inclusive and universal access to safe, green, and public space to women, children, older people, persons with disabilities, vulnerable people. Sorry. Indicator 11.7.1, average built up area of open space for public use for all these above people, women, children, older people, kinds of people. The indicator 11.7.2, proportion of women, children, older people, person with disabilities who face harassments in last 12 months. Okay, so they should of course report as well. That is also important, that they faced harassment. Target 11.A, balancing and strengthening environment and development in urban, perurban, and rural areas. What is the indicator? Number of countries having urban or regional development plans, those are flexible for population dynamics. If population grows, then still the city should thrive. Balanced territorial development, that 30 33% the forest cover should be there, and all those. Increase fiscal space. Okay, then target 11.B, By 2030, all the countries should holistically adopt the Sendai framework for disaster risk reduction 2015-2030. Now, what is Sendai framework? You see, Sendai framework reduces the risk if the disaster happens. It has four priorities. First is understanding the disaster risk. Second is strengthening disaster risk governance to manage disaster risk. A lot of training and development activities are there. Third, investing in disaster risk reduction for resilience. You have to invest a lot. For example, in Japan, if they have underground water storage space, so that in case the tsunami occurs, lot of water will be stored there, and then that will be released, something like that. Fourth is enhancing disaster preparedness for effective response and better build back better in recovery and rehabilitation and reconstruction. Fourth one, so it requires a lot of training and development of the personnel, and India has one of the best disaster management teams. In fact, I have seen it. Uh, Once a railway accident was there, within 1.5 hours, they could repair the track, and the railway traffic was started. And later on, whatever the railway debris and all those things were there. First, they saved the lives, and then all those kept in this side, it was taken care. So these priorities, they reduce four things: mortality, affected people, direct economic loss per GDP, and impact on critical infrastructure and disruption to basic services. It reduces these four things if these priorities are, set well. Then these priorities increases good things, that is number of countries having implemented Sendai strategies, then they can take care of disaster very well. Second, a good thing is international cooperation. It increases cooperation. In case, if you remember, once the earthquake was there, and then USS sent a team of the canine, means dogs, who could find out the live people in the debris. Such international, cooperation improves. And third is implementation of multi-hazard early warning system. We saw that one, that tsunami warning systems are there. It reduces the damage. And if drills are there, if this happen, what to do? Everybody runs to the proper place at a height or that shelter as whatever is possible and whatever have been trained to them or whatever they know it. If buildings are falling during the earthquake, if people are told that you should come on the streets, it's okay. In case you are at the 100th floor, then how to save yourself? These are the trainings those many countries provide, and it's fantastic thing. Okay, now to measure Sendai framework implementation, there are 7 global targets and 38 indicators. If you are interested in depth about this, and if you suggest, I can take the video, or otherwise it is available on the United Nations disaster reduction website is available. Indicator 11.b.1, number of countries having adopted Sendai framework for SENDA framework for disaster risk reduction 2015-2030. Then if these countries are adopting, they have the fantastic strategy. Then 11.b.2 is local government matching to this and building their parallel system for the risk reduction and damage reduction, of course. Now, target 11.c, by using local material, helping the developing countries to build sustainable buildings by providing financial and technical know-how. Obviously, if suppose USA, India, Japan, they have 3D printers, they can take the local earthen material and can build the houses over there, going to that poor countries. And these are this target is also the indicator as well. So thank you very much. If you have any suggestion, then kindly let me know. And I hope this SDG alien will be taken care very soon, and we'll be able to build the sustainable and thriving cities in future. Thank you very much, and we'll see the SDG 12.